What's up? It's Monday. It's Monday. We back. It's Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. Had some little ups and downs, but that's okay. We'll get through it. But just wanted to thank everybody for the comments. We got a lot of comments on a couple of our videos last week concerning Diddy and Cassie and that whole outcome of the case. And people are staunchly on whatever side and almost equally as divided. But for right now, being as though I live in one of the largest cities and we're going through a strike right now, I did want to focus on something, which is our title today, which is Stand and Deliver. And
3 people were killed and
just
9
wanted to go over this really quick, let you see this, and then we'll go from there.
3 people were killed and 9 others were hurt in a mass shooting in the Grays Ferry section of Philadelphia. This shooting, just one incident over a very violent weekend in the city. Action News reporter Jessica Cartalia is live with more. And Jessica, you have new video showing the terrifying moments multiple people opened fire.
Now, Sarah, that video is incredibly difficult to watch and just hard to fathom that something like that could happen. Meanwhile, many of the victims of that shooting were brought here to Penn Presbyterian Hospital, where they are still being treated. Ring camera footage is now part of a police investigation into a gunfight early this morning in Grays Ferry. Hazardous waste crews scrubbed blood from the sidewalk just hours after that mass shooting.
There is a lot of video circulating online. It's pretty much a horrific scene.
Police say a gunfight erupted just before 1 o'clock this morning on the 1500 block of South Edding Street in Grays Ferry. After making several arrests over the weekend, police were monitoring reports of large gatherings and loud music. They were in the process of responding to a nearby call when they heard the gunfire. When they arrived on scene, they found a dozen shooting victims ranging in age from 15 to 24.
Almost 140 pieces of ballistic evidence has been recovered. We definitely believe, based on our observation, a gun with a switch was involved.
There was so much evidence at the scene. In addition to yellow markers, police wrote numbers by hand.
It's past frustrating.
Tyree Glasgow is executive director of the Young Chances Foundation, a youth.
So you saw that. Looks pretty crazy, right? Very crazy. And it's unfortunate. And let's send prayers out to the families of everybody that got hurt, especially those who were killed in that. Stand and Deliver. Stand and Deliver was a movie back in 1988. I saw it when I was a younger guy. And it was about a teacher, Edward James Olmos. Anybody remembers Miami Vice? He was in that. Really, really good movie. And it focused on in East Los Angeles about a teacher who had, some students that were, I guess you would consider unsavory or uncivilized to the rest of the school, and were kind of like on the last leg. But they had these tests that they wanted the kids to pass, and they state tests, and they didn't believe that these kids could get it done. So Edward James Olmos comes in as the teacher and says, "No, we're going to get it done. Stand and deliver." So that's something that highwaymen used to say when somebody would go past and they wait on the side of the highway, and then they run up on you and say, "Stand, get up, get out, deliver," meaning stand up and give me what you got, because now you're getting robbed. So, but the interpretation that was in the movie was he wanted the kids to stand as far as get their grades up and exceed their expectations. So stand up and deliver. One thing that I'm hopeful that one day in our inner cities that we can do. We all know that, it's impossible to have zero crime. We know that it's impossible to have zero homicides, robberies, or attempted murders or carjackings. We know it's impossible to have zero. But as people of the community, we all have to stand up and deliver. We have to try to make sure that it's a better place. And I know that sounds cliche, but that it's a better place for people. Now, you may say why or how. because we do. Oftentimes we blame a lot of stuff on the police or lack of police presence. But even in that situation, from what the news reported is that officers have been called out there several times. So what do we do? What do we do? You know, you have a lot of other people, you know, because I refuse to call black people animals. I refuse to call black people crazy or disoriented or out of control, because I think at some point in life, all of us, no matter what nationality, race you are, have felt a sense of anger about something. And you felt like, hey, what can I do to try to alleviate this feeling of anger? And then also, too, you've had people who felt like they've needed to be in defense of people. And I'm not making any excuses, because who knows how it started. But it appeared as though the people on the porch were trying to defend, I guess, where they were at. Not sure. But the thing is that for us in the community, this is why, and I've said this before, it starts with the men. Like, as guys, if we don't control our emotions, and like I said, have no idea what happened, but unfortunately it happened here. There was a big shooting in Chicago where 4 young people died. There was a shooting, I think, in Indianapolis where a young man died, a teenager died, a minor, I believe. And most times it's black. And I'm not here to put anybody down. But what I am here to do is to say that we have to do better. And I know it's just words. I don't think that my culture is trash. I think that we do some bad things, just like other people. But I know that there is a lot of work to be done. So I would never get up here on the internet. I don't care if only one person is watching. I would never get up here and denounce people that look like me. Now, I could criticize them and be upset with them, but I'm not going to denounce someone that looks like me, because most of us, people that look like me, although you may have grown up in the suburb or somewhere else, most of us are not more than maybe 1, maybe 2 generations outside of being raised in an inner city or in a violent neighborhood. So before we start to get on our high horse, let's not get it twisted. Because maybe it didn't happen to you or your family member, but for most of us that have grown up or still live in the inner city, we know and understand that it's only one step away from us. In a lot of cases, there are no degrees of separation. Because what starts to happen is that even if you do move away to the suburbs or you move to another state, like a lot of people from Philly move to Delaware or somewhere, it still does not stop the effect from those other people that are left behind, or some of the other people who come to still visit other relatives or friends that live in the inner city. And I know it's always going to get blamed on, it's a democratic city and, this is where it happens and, this is where all that kind of stuff. No, I got a better idea for you. Most times you have more of your poorer people that live in the inner city. Because to be honest with you, in any of these cities now, whether it's inner city, suburbs, or whatever, there's no type of rent control. There's no type of any control. So things are just getting higher and higher and higher. Now, does that say that you should shoot up an entire block of people? No, it shouldn't. But what happens is that over time, it has a cumulative effect on a community. So you say, well, Greg, you say all of that. Are you making excuses? What should you do? First thing we got to do, and we start, like I tell everybody, you start with yourself and your home and in your family. It's a lot of us out here. We know that we're not doing enough to help these kids. And what I mean by these kids, our own kids, our own nephews, our own nieces or whomever. And although you can't cure everything, but help out and do something. You know, if you know, like I've always said before, if you know maybe a relative of yours still lives in the inner city or in a bad neighborhood or quote unquote impoverished neighborhood, you know, see what you can do to try to help out. Hey, maybe sometimes you got to take the kids for a couple of days out to the suburbs where you live. You know, maybe you got to go in and take some of these guys and girls to baseball games or basketball games. That is the one good thing about a huge inner city is that, or a huge city period, is that there are typically a lot of sports teams around. You don't have to get the best seats, but you know, you can get something to try to spark something different in a kid. That's all. We're not going to be able to stop all of the violence and everything. And this is a continual conversation. This is not a one and done type of conversation. But anybody who's a man or a woman can't just turn a blind eye to it. And neither can I. Because we never know when, after all of these shootings and things, it may be one of our family members. It may be one of us. I've even had to curb how many cookouts that I go to. I've had to rearrange and make decisions as to where I go, as to where I'm willing to even drive my kids to go. Making way more concerted effort to make a change as far as, even as old as I am, the way that I move about. And guess what? That still may not save you. But we got to have hope. But with hope, we got to try. With trying, that means we have to have action. And yeah, it's easy to say they need to get them guns off the street and all of this and all of that. That is easy to say. But the thing is that when you're in something, we're all in it. You think to yourself, oh, that's just them over there. Oh, you know what? That's just them boys down there. No, it winds up being all of us. And it's okay sometimes if you got to pick up the phone, because I get it. All of us aren't good with confrontation, because you know what? We all have families and things that we need to protect also. But, you know, sometimes if you got to say, hey, look, 911, I think something about to go down here. Could y'all send somebody over here? And from what I'm hearing, they did do that. But 911 can't be the only one. We have to get more invested in our community. We have to make sure that we're doing things to keep kids further engaged before they get to a point where these emotions just run out of control. And I'm telling you, I'm asking and I'm pleading and I'm begging. Guys, if you got kids out here, man, really try to get a hold of the kids. And I'm not talking about after they running around with a 40 cal with 30 shot ladder on them with a switch. No, man, get them now. They 4 years old. They 5 years old. They're 6 years old. They're 7 years old. They're 8 years old. They need you, man. Because there's only so much that mom can do. They're taller than I was taller than my mom by the time I was 10, 11. It's only so much that they can do. Go get them. If you're young enough, man, you got a grandson, you know he might not be in the best type of situation, dog, go get him. Go get him. Because although we know that none of us can save everybody, we just got to start with saving somebody. I always say to people, you know what? We all at times, especially when we were younger, probably thought we would wind up, rather grow up rich and without any problems and all that other kind of stuff. But for a lot of us, life doesn't work out like that. And I love this brown skin I'm in. And I hope you do too. So let's try to get it right. Let's try to do better. But until next time, you know how it is. Live life. Don't let life live you.